wherever you get podcasts from. Seriously, he just got up and left. For those that are watching on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320, we have a guest who literally just got up and left. Kyle acts like he's never done radio before. I'm just going to leave his camera up and leave his microphone hot just because he got up and left.
So, guys.
Hey, we're live, pal.
Yeah, no, I know it. I was thinking that I thought maybe like you guys were going to break and then me. So, okay, we're right into me. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. We're learning the mechanics of this. It's all good.
I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm leaving.
If you're going to look, I mean, nobody wants to hear me anyways, but if you're going to bring me on after Trista Crick, who is a delight, like that makes me look much worse. And so I was just going to bail.
It's a solid strategy. I mean,
I'm just not showing up.
Absolutely not. The people always love to hear Kyle Madson on a Friday afternoon, baby. Come on now.
It's one of my favorite things to do.
I mean, I've gotten up and walked away from Kyle a time or two, so I feel like it's fair that he just did that to us. Like, it's fine.
It's actually a banner day if you don't do that. if you hang out the whole time, that's when I know I'm doing something.
Kyle Madson, the host of Candlestick Chronicles, writer on Niners Wire, producer at 95.7 The Game in Sacramento. He's got more jobs than the Henleys on In Living Color, man. So it was all good. Thank you very much. It was all good just a week ago. And then the 49ers stumbled and fall. Let me ask you this question, because this was asked to me. Kenny and I talked about it on Monday. There's a difference between, at least in my mind, there's a difference between the best and the most important. And it feels like Nick Bosa is the best defensive player on the San Francisco 49ers. He could wind up being the best defensive player in the league. But Fred Warner might be the most important. Was Fred Warner's absence last week, was it noticeable to you?
No, actually.
Okay, then thanks for joining us. I guess I'll just shut my ass up from now on.
No. I mean, there were, in the sense that Seattle had a couple opportunities where Gerald Everett turned the ball over at the goal line. You know, they convert those into points and Seattle wins it running away. But I think the bigger issue was like they just kept giving the ball away. They should have beat Seattle. Like the 49ers are markedly better than the Seahawks, just from a talent standpoint. And even without Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shaair is playing at a high enough level that the 49ers should not miss Fred Warner that much against Seattle. But Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 2 bad interceptions, Travis Benjamin fumbling a kickoff, like those are bad plays. Tom Compton getting railroaded on the safety. Like that's just a play. And that's all stuff happening on the offensive side and special teams. And speaking of special teams, they give up a 78-yard fake punt touchdown. And again, that's not something that has to do with Fred Warner. So their defense is definitely better with Warner on the field, but I don't think he was the reason they lost in Seattle.
I said when it happened, I know it's frustrating. That was a hell of a play call on the fake punt. Like really good. That was a hell of a play. Nobody saw it coming, and I got to tip my hat to Pete Carroll on that one. That was a hell of a play call.
When special teams coach Richard Hightower talks every week, and typically the coach speak on a play like that is, we got to execute better. It starts with me. He was like, there's nothing the players could have done. It was my fault. Nobody was in a position to make a play. Like, what? Like, we know, we watched it. We saw that.
Yeah.
But I would never advocate for somebody to be fired, but I can't believe he's still around. Like, I thought that's something that would happen post haste, but Kyle Shanahan decided to.
So the one thing I'll say about that though, Kyle, is there is an element of they just picked a hell of a time and called a hell of a play. Like I'm sitting there. I know I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid to coach and make sure everybody's ready. I understand that. But they came out 3 and out. Let's go. Defense fired up. Let's go. Let's get this ball back. Let's work. Oh, my gosh. A fake punt. What? Like I went on there like on 25. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not thinking that. You know what I mean? And I got to just tip my hat and be like, you got me. You got me.
But as the special teams coordinator, I feel like you need to have a finger on the pulse a little bit.
Fair
that
enough.
might happen.
Fair enough, for sure.
The fact that not that they converted, but the fact that he just went untouched 78, like not one guy got near him. That's rough. That's just poor coaching.
Yeah.
No Debo this week for sure.
No, he's questionable. He's officially questionable. I would be pretty surprised if he played. He only practiced today. They said it was a 1 to 2 week thing, but the 49ers have a little bit of a history the last couple of years of bringing guys back from these soft tissue injuries. I mean, we saw Dre Greenlaw come back and irritate his core muscle injury that he hurt in week 1. And he played in week 1 after dealing with that core muscle injury all of training camp. So we've seen the Niners do this before where they bring a guy back maybe a little bit early. I guess you just cross your fingers that it doesn't become kind of a long-term thing, but it's also not crazy to think that he's good to go by Sunday. So they're going to give it the next couple days. They have all night tonight, all day Saturday, and then Saturday morning or Sunday morning to figure out if he's good to go. And the fact that he practiced and they're listing him as questionable, I would lean toward him playing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how effective he can be. If it affects the play calling, are they going to give him 100% of the play calls and that he normally gets, or what? So that's going to be interesting. I want to ask you a question, Kyle, because me and Dame went back and forth about this on Monday, I think, because I think Jesse brought up the question, and he proposed that the 49ers made the playoffs, were one and done. Is this season a failure? I said no.
Well, there was one other piece to that I feel like was the kind of important to the conversation. He said if the 49ers make the playoffs and are one and done, and Trey Lance never sees the field, do you consider the season a success?
I said no on both fronts. Or I said it wasn't a failure.
It wasn't a failure. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Man, I think the gut reaction is yes, because they kept Jimmy Garoppolo because their goal was to compete for a Super Bowl. And even if they make the playoffs, you said what?
Yes, it's a failure.
I would think so, but I have a caveat. So I think in a vacuum this year, like they kept Jimmy Garoppolo to compete for a Super Bowl. Like that's why he's still around, because they thought they could win with him this year. And if they go 9-8 and they sneak into the playoffs and they go to Green Bay or go to Dallas or go wherever in round 1 and lose, I don't think that's falling short of where they expected to be. Now, if they went 13-4 and, just kind of had a tripped up in the first round, okay, it is what it is, but they have struggled with consistency problems. Penalties have been a problem. Special teams have been a problem. Their secondary has been a problem. Like they just kind of have these issues where it's like, man, I don't know if this team could win a Super Bowl even if everybody was healthy. So I would say no, because I think they as a team had their sights set so much higher than a first round playoff exit after sneaking into the playoffs as a 7 seed. But on the other hand, when it comes to Trey Lance, if Trey Lance this season is just learning like crazy and he's going to step in week 1 next year, or day 1 of camp or day 1 of the offseason program, and be ready to rock because he got to sit and just learn this year and marinate and soak it all in. And if he is really good right out the gate, then you would have to call this season a success, because that's what this entire thing's about. For this season, it's trying to win a Super Bowl, but like the elephant in the room is wearing a number 5 jersey. And that's all that's going to matter for Kyle Shanahan, for John Lynch, and for the future of this organization is what's going on with Trey Lance. And if he comes out and looks like a rookie next year, where it's like, oh, he would have benefited from playing, then I think this season is an abject bottom line failure. Nuance, baby.
I've started to hear people attempt to make the argument that Jimmy Garoppolo should be around next year as the backup quarterback.
No.
Yeah, that's just crazy. You've really only heard one person, and I don't know what the hell.
I don't even remember who that person was.
Peter King.
That's right. It was on Damon and Ratto. That's right. It was on this radio station.
God bless him. Lost his damn mind when he said that.
Yeah, I heard that, and I was perplexed.
It's Peter King. It's Peter Schrager from Fox and NFL Network. It's like you hear broadcasters talking about it because this is being floated by the team in meetings. But I think that's solely to drive up Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value. If they believed that Jimmy Garoppolo was still valuable to their team, they wouldn't have mortgaged the future to replace him. Like, that ship sailed. They could win out. They could win the Super Bowl. They could win out and go win the Super Bowl. And Jimmy Garoppolo is gone because they have seen the ceiling. And this is what it is. Like, for every game where he looks incredible, and it's like, oh man, I say incredible. That's stupid. For every game that it looks like, oh, he could be a top 10 or so quarterback.
Average.
He could be, he could play well. He has a game like he had in Seattle where, okay, he averaged 10 yards an attempt and he threw a couple touchdowns, but like the 2 interceptions were just bad. And he still has really bad misses, and it lowers the ceiling of this offense overall. And Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to deal with that anymore. Like, people say, oh, Shanahan doesn't want to throw the ball down the field. He does. He just doesn't want to with this quarterback.
Yeah, you're limited. And what you said is 100% correct, Kyle. But also the other thing, because I got our guy, it'll mess up the YouTube stream, so I won't put it up there. But David, they say that's not so crazy. Would you rather have Jimmy as your backup or Nick Mullins? The other part that people are forgetting is part of the reason why you're moving away from him is you want to get away from $20 million. Right. Like, that's so you don't want that $20 million on your cap, 23, whatever he's making on the cap. That's part of the reason why you made the decision to go with the rookie quarterback moving forward.
But I also don't think you want that presence.
No,
you don't want that guy lingering around while Trey Lance is trying to win football games.
Not at all.
No. And to the question of would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or Nick Mullins? Nick Mullins is going to cost you like $40 in a bus pass. Like, you'll take that over
Bart.
Even if you restructure Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's BART.
It's
a Clipper card. You're right, a Clipper card. Sorry,
it's not even that no more. What is it?
You can put them on your phone.
Is that what goes to Levi?
No, you get the light rail or whatever it is. Yeah. But what?
I really derailed us there. Sorry about that.
Derailed. Nice. I see what you did there. So they would probably restructure Jimmy Garoppolo's contract or give him an extension but still, if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you can be released and go sign anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can say, yeah, I'll resign to be your backup for
$40 in a bus pass.
Yeah. That's not something they would, I think, probably consider. Like, they would sooner sign Andy Dalton or Mitch Trubisky or somebody who's just going to kind of be a career backup to be the backup, because once the keys are handed to Trey Lance, it's his team for the next 2 or 3 years. They don't need you'll see, I bet they go draft a quarterback in like the 6th round or bring in an undrafted guy they like just to kind of, take snaps in case Lance can't. But I think Shanahan's done with the QB competition stuff.
Yeah.
He clearly hates it.
That's over. And doesn't Kyle like Sutfield?
Sure. Maybe
in that role, not like for franchise, but he would. Or
Nate Sudfeld's the perfect
be the Sudfeld, whatever. What's the name? Sudfeld.
Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah.
Man, right. They'll pay him a couple $1 million. They'll get Jimmy's $20+ million off the books. The cap's going to go up to like $208 million next year. They're projected to have $12 million right now. That's before cutting and restructuring and all that. So they're going to have like upwards of $40 million plus in cap space potentially if they let Garoppolo go. And that you can bring in a cornerback, you can bring in a defensive end. I mean, at that point they'll have some stuff to work with where they can build out a team that can overcome maybe any hiccups Trey Lance has in his first year starting. So I can't, unless Jimmy Garoppolo says, I love this place so much, I love my teammates so much, I'm going to tell everybody on the backup and I will play for $2 million a year, which isn't happening. That would be an insane person thing to do. There will be starting jobs for him. There will be starting opportunities for him next year, just not in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
What is Trey Lance still okay? Like, I feel like we haven't heard his name in weeks. Was that just a product of them winning? Have they just abandoned I don't want him to go 2 years without playing football. Like, have we just abandoned all of that?
Yeah. Kinda. So
yesterday.
So I think
for the first time in a minute.
So I think what happened was this was way more difficult than Kyle Shanahan thought it was going to be. And I don't think that he envisioned I don't think he envisioned it being as difficult as it is for him. Why Sean Payton could make it happen with Taysom Hill and Drew Brees, I don't know. And why Kyle Shanahan can't with Jimmy Garoppolo make it happen. Probably because Taysom Hill is not an actual quarterback, but that's a different discussion. So I think Shanahan had this vision where it was going to be easy to, on 4th and 2 from your own 39 in Seattle down a touchdown, to put Lance in there, and he's going to be able to do a zone read or do an RPO or just take a straight drop and throw it. And I don't know if it's just Lance hasn't developed the way they thought he would, or if it's just more difficult than he thought it would be, or whatever it is, or if Jimmy Garoppolo said, man, I really hate this. I don't know, but they've abandoned it for some reason. And I just don't, I mean, the ship sailed to me, unless he starts playing again. The ship sailed to me on, oh, Trey Lance is going to get a few snaps this game. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing to go from Trey's going to play for us this year to, never mind.
I always thought that was trash. After I thought it was trash just in general. And then when I saw it in Detroit, I said, don't ever do this again. Because the plays were garbage. Like they would bring Trey in for, like, he wasn't brought in to be a quarterback in those situations. It was get the ball. It was some Wildcat stuff. And I was like, if you're going to do that, just don't ever play him. Like, bring him in to be a quarterback, not this little thing. You're going to get the kid killed. So I don't know. Maybe Kyle Shanahan looked at the same thing. I don't know why he couldn't put him in for passing situations, but he was like, I don't want to do that. He'd only be in there to run. If you're going to do that, just don't even play him then.
I think maybe a little bit he, before the year, was anticipating, playing the Colts and maybe, having a 10 or 12 point lead in the third quarter where, you could comfortably put Trey Lance in. But I think that if you have a rookie quarterback who's as inexperienced as Lance, and you want to have kind of a broad playbook, because like you said, Kenny, it was against the Lions, it was like a couple of play action quarterback powers into the line and then the pass to Trent Sherfield. I just don't think the playbook is as expansive for him because you only have so many reps to take. And so if you want him to kind of be able to do everything before you put him in there, that's a big ask for a rookie with his amount of experience to say, yeah, hey, learn these 25 plays so a defense doesn't know what's coming. And if they can just sit on that quarterback power or a play action with a crosser, like that kind of takes the element of surprise and the whole benefit of the two quarterback thing just kind of off the table.
So Debo's questionable. Elijah Mitchell's out.
He's out.
So is this Trey Sermon time?
Yeah, not Trey Turner time for sure. Trey Sermon's on IR.
Trey Young time for the 49ers?
It might be Trey Young time.
Is it Dame time?
Is it Dame? Yeah.
No, so I think it's going to be, so Jeff Wilson Jr. wasn't on the injury report. So I think he's the primary running back. JaMychal Hasty's healthy. Maybe he'll get some touches, but I think it'll primarily be Jeff Wilson Jr. You know what's crazy? And Kenny, this is going to drive you nuts. It's not good for here's how they're bad their cornerback situation is. Dante Johnson is questionable because of a personal issue, and that's like a hit to the secondary.
It's nasty now. It's really nasty in the secondary.
Josh Norman was following DK Metcalf last week. That's where they're at.
And ironically, crazy enough, Dante Johnson almost saved the game last week. Or no, he recovered it. Al-Shaair knocked it out, right? Correct. Yeah, Dante Johnson, the first good play he's ever made. Maybe the first play the first good play he's made since that interception, that pick six against the Jags in 2018. He got one against the Rams too?
Yeah, you're thinking of Ahkello Witherspoon.
No.
He had one against the Jags, I think.
No.
But I will say Dante Johnson did have a forced fumble and fumble recovery against the Cardinals back in week 5. that helped set up the Niners
And
late. But no,
great play not too much. Like I think it was in the Packers game. Maybe. I don't know, but it's been
Dante Johnson's just not a good player.
No,
and the fact that he was going to start and be the best starter available by like a significant margin is not good. That's really bad for the 49ers going into a game against a Cincinnati team that'll air it out a little bit. So
Chase going for about 250.
He might, unless Josh Norman just interferes with him the whole time.
Who is it though? It's Norman and Lenore
or Embry Thomas.
Embry Thomas. I remember him.
Yeah,
I remember him.
The 49ers don't. But
hey, speaking of guys we remember, I just want to preface this with he is a wonderful human being and we love him greatly.
Oh no.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah. Also nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year again. Of course, we're talking about our man Arik Armstead. I'm trying to find the right way to ask this. It feels like it hasn't gone well. That's not the proper way of asking it. I don't feel like he's the best. You're making me work for this. How
are you asking if he's earning
not
his contract?
Better? Yeah, it's just
Why
that's
isn't
our
he better at football.
That's our dude, but
they kept him over DeForest Buckner.
And so that kind of lingers over it too. Like, all right, maybe this kind of just went wrong, but like I don't feel like he's even close.
He's fine. Like
he's not
if he was making
bad, right, Kyle. Like he's not playing bad. He's just kind of average.
He gets a lot of, like, if you go watch the Cardinals game and even last week against the Seahawks, he is a force on the inside. Like he can really impact games from the inside. The problem is that they don't have another edge rusher on that side. So when he kicks inside, there's nobody else over there. And when it was D Ford and Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead's getting these one-on-ones inside, he was flying through and he was getting sacks. And that's what we saw. We had 10 in 2019. When he's by himself over there and it's Samson Ebukam or Charles Omenahu or whoever's lining up next to him, that's just not, he's way less effective. He's still a good player. I think he's second on the team in pressures right now. He has 3 sacks. There's been a bunch of plays this year where he's been very close to having a sack and just hasn't been able to quite finish it. He's good, but for the contract they gave him under the circumstances in that 2020 offseason where they trade Buckner and they give Armstead this giant deal, they were expecting him to be like a 7 to 12 sack guy.
Yeah.
And just consistently be a force in their pass rush. And he's not been. Like he doesn't stink. Like he's not a bad player.
No, and maybe he's a victim of one, the circumstance that you just referenced, and 2, my expectations. Because I thought that guy that got that I was like, yo, this is at minimum who he is. Like right. I've been a huge, like he is that dude. Like this is him moving forward.
And I think if you rewind to that point, to the right before the Niners made that deal for Buckner and signed Armstead, if you told them like, hey, FYI, these are going to be his numbers through the week 13 season of 2021. Also, there's going to be a pandemic. Watch out for that. if I mean, while you're at it, but if you told him those are going to be his numbers, they don't sign him, or at least not for that money.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing. If he was a rookie doing what he's doing, it would be like, whoa, this is great. Like this is going to be great for them. But the fact that he had the season he had in 2019 was pretty lackluster last year. And then this year has been pretty good. He's fine. That's definitely disappointing and short of what I think the 49ers were hoping for.
Hey, Kyle, in 15 seconds, has Nick Bosa like you or like me? Has he been
Nick Bosa's not like us?
You forgot that he had his leg just shredded. Like that's how good he's been. Like,
yeah,
he's been sick this year.
I thought for sure there would be a 4 to 6 week Like, that's okay. He's still coming back. Like, there's a flash here, there's a flash there. He's unbelievable. Even when he's not in the stat sheet, he's impacting games. He's incredible.
The way I saw him turn the corner last week.
The amount of times he fights through a hold or a double team.
He was really getting after it last week. I don't know what it was. He seemed extra motivated last week. I don't know what it was. 97.
The Bears game too, now that I'm thinking about it.
Hey, I don't know what it was. 97 was on one last week. This was a good follow to Trista. You did a good job, my friend. A couple of quick notes. Alex Lynn starting at center tonight for the Sacramento Kings. And Alvin Gentry says he's not worried about Buddy shooting because he ain't gonna play him. That's not true. That's not what Alvin Gentry said. That's what I said.
Fox yet?
Okay, Kyle's